here we are, man, September. And I tell you what, there's a nasty little word that bass fishermen don't like, and that's transition. So transition can be a real bad word to bass fishermen. Transition means change. So things are changing. Usually 1st of August, you'll start to see a little bit of a change, but you get more towards the end of August, and really it lasts all the way through till really mid-October. These fish are really starting to scatter. You're starting to have cooler nighttime temperatures, the water temperature's dropping, and so you really tend to have a lot more fish scattered. Now, there is some good things to this, as these fish want to get up here shallow, and looking behind us, we've got a full moon, and a full moon, this kind of excites me this time of year, because that means one thing, is a bluegill spawn. So one thing a lot of people don't realize is these bluegill spawn several times, all around the full moons, so all summer long. I mean, we'll actually get the first bluegill spawns usually around May, right after the shad spawn, and then they'll spawn. I've seen them, if everything all lines up, all the way through till, October. So you get several bluegill spawns. So what that does is draws a different class of fish up shallow. So a lot of the nocturnal, bigger smallmouth, they'll prey during the day. They'll get up here in inches of water along with these largemouths. This is really where these largemouth want to be. It's just, these fish are totally built different. When you catch a largemouth offshore and in brush and 15 to 20 foot of water in the summertime, they're long. Some of them will weigh good, but they're more long and lean. And man, you get up here and chasing some of these shallow fish, and they're just built totally different. Shorter, stockier fish. It's because their diet. And they're feeding on these bluegill, gizzard shad, just bluegill eating bass. So a couple of my favorite things to do this time of year is to cover water. Man, you can just pick up, a prop style bait, a plopper of some sort. This is a 6-cent scramble. And I really, under these conditions right here, I like a smaller bait. So the scramble's got a smaller tail, and it's got a different sound to it. It's got one that it's not that super deep plop, which you don't want when there's no wind and it's bright and calm, bright and calm in the morning. A lot of times you'll have these conditions all throughout the day. So you want something that's got a little bit more subtle sound to it. Now, if we were to kind of have more, more clouds, more wind, and that's when I would beef this up to a bigger plopping style bait. That's one of my favorite baits to throw. So this is another great bait that I like to throw. This is a 6-cent buzzgill. It's got a flatter body, which enables that bait to be skipped super far under floats, under docks, under brush, all kinds of stuff, right where those fish get to ambush the bluegill. So I'm gonna put this on. This is another really good option when there's no wind and it's super calm this morning. But usually I always have several different topwater baits tied on during the fall transition, the late summer, really, and they'll stay on my deck of my boat all the way through till almost December. And a lot of times, especially under these full moons, you may have like a little feeding window kind of right off the bat, but then, when most people put the topwater down or give it up, that's when you really need to push through, keep it in your hand, and just put that trolling motor, on 10 and just cover a ton of water. They all bunch up, they group up. And literally I've seen this from the mouth of coves all the way to the very backs of these pockets. And it can be so random. That's why it's so important to cover so much water, but you'll just be fishing. You may maybe not get a bite, a swipe, no signs of life, and then all of a sudden you're gonna come upon a wolf pack. And that's why we do this. I mean, it's insane. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this or not, but when you're rolling through these areas, you know, it's like a gang coming through the cove and wiping out every bluegill in sight. I mean, I have seen schools of largemouth, 15 or 20, and every one of them 3 to 5 pounds. And that's what they do in the summer. Now, once the sun comes up, you know, those bluegill start to move more shallow. They start getting around their beds, and those bass know that. And so they come in, and it's a lot of it's just a timing deal. So sometimes you may get right really fast in the morning, and then oftentimes it's just kind of a bite here or there, but the ones that you get are typically really, really good ones. You know, another nice thing about this too is this is primitive fishing, you know. I mean, as you can tell, my graphs are not on. And that's honestly, I just didn't turn them on because I didn't need to. So I'm basically just covering ground, covering water, just fishing whatever's in front of me. As much as I love electronics and that technology, it's nice to turn it off sometimes. There's one. God, that's fun. Smallmouth. It's one of them bluegill eating smallmouth. This is one bait that you better be careful taking these dudes off, because I have dug more hooks out of people's hands, my hands, from these plopper style baits. But dude, that's a lot of fun. That's why we do it, man, is for that freaking crush bite. You know, really a mentality that a person needs to have is, you know, this is the time of year where, you know, 20-pound bags are pretty rare. You know, you have to have the right kind of conditions. You know, kind of overcast, rainy days, you know, those are the days that, you know, you've got a lot of these big ones that are a little bit more susceptible to biting. But, you know, 13 to 15 pounds usually has a shot at doing really, really good. You know, 15 pounds wins tournaments right now. So, you know, 5 3-pounders and fishing this way, fishing shallow, covering a lot of water, is a way to win tournaments right now. So it's just, you know, it's not something that you're going to get a ton of bites doing, but man, it's fun. You know, an all-day topwater bite, I could do this for all day long for 5 bites and have the time of my life. I know everybody's a little different, but to me, it just don't get any better than topwater fishing. It's interesting because a lot of the stuff that these bigger largemouth get on is really the ugliest stuff you'd ever fish. I mean, just flat. You know, but these are perfect like spawning areas for the bluegill. So really the cover is not something that you have to be real specific on. It's just where those bluegills are. And they love flat areas. I say that as it comes over a lay now. Okay, there's 3 fish and 3 different species. One thing too throughout the day is you notice once that sun comes up, it starts producing these shade lines like this. And this is really an important deal. I mean, I've caught them in straight sun, so you can't get too fixated on it, but man, later on in the afternoon, it is something that you want to pay attention to. It's not that big of a deal as long as you have wind, but especially like clear days like this, man, it can make all the difference in the world in getting bit. Like I keep saying, you know, as I'm running this plopper through, you'll see those spritzes or sprays, almost look like spray coming off of my topwater bait, and a lot of that is them little glass minnows. And these fish will feed on them. But the biggest thing is what I'm looking for when I go up here is, you know, mainly bluegill, but also occasionally you'll see like a big wolf pack of gizzard shad, and they'll be running in a pack of, you know, 5 to 20. And man, that's a prime time meal for a big bass. And these gizzards just get up here and run the bank this time of year, late summer, fall. And those bass know that they're up there. They can get a high protein meal just in one. So the type of docks that I really look for is these areas that you have these longer walkways like this, and you have these floats. Several floats is even better. The more floats, the better. But you don't want them sticking out of the water. You want them real low, real shallow. The shallower, the better. For whatever reason, those big ones get under those super shallow floats. Man, it don't take long either, man. If he's there, he's gonna come out and get it. But you see this second one right here. That's a good location, but this one's even better. You know, and the type of jig that I throw, this is a hybrid jig from 6 Cents, and it's an awesome jig that you can skip. It's got a weird shaped head that really slides under cover, but it's also like a structure jig too, so you can fish it like a football jig. But man, believe it or not, when I'm fishing these shallow floats, I throw a 1/2 or even a 3/4 ounce jig. And I know that sounds probably crazy to some. I know when a lot of people like a 5/16 or a finesse style jig. But man, I want it to get there. I want to be able to skip it, make accurate casts, fall super fast. It's all a reaction strike. So I don't need, you know, my jig to hover down there slow. I just want a fast fall. And, you know, a little tip is once that sun picks up, you know, that bite's consistent all throughout the day. You know, especially these clear water lakes where you're looking at these floats, you can visibly see the bottom, and it doesn't look like there's anything there. Man, continue to make that cast. It will surprise you how these big fish will come out of those floats and flash on your bait. One thing that you really want to pay attention to is, one thing that I've learned over the years is looking at these floats once that sun comes up, the areas that have a lot of bluegill and they're just chilling around those floats, you might as well not even make a cast because they're too comfortable. There's no predators around. So when you're doing this, really pay attention to your surroundings. If you got a ton of bluegill in the area, it probably ain't happening, at least, you know, not during that time. So I mainly fish the floats that don't have, you know, any signs of bluegill around them. That's something that I've just picked up over the years. But I love fishing like those. And if you can get like these wave runner floats, the shallower the better on those too, man. Those are money. So this is another good setup right here. Like I said, I always love like these wave runner little platforms right here. So basically I'm gonna take a minute just to get prepared. It's all about the approach, man, and how you set up on these docks. It's such a key thing because you don't wanna get in too hot because then you just blow it out. So you just wanna stay within, you know, good distance to where you can make an accurate cast. Oh, popped it. Might have been a bluegill. But basically, you want to get parallel to whatever, you know, dock, float that you're fishing there. Like I said, it happens pretty quick. This is not something you have to make several pitches in. You don't have to drag the bottom with it. It's pretty much get in there, let it fall, especially with this heavy jig. And man, if he's there, he's gonna get it really fast. So these ducks that, you know, the first few stalls are still in that 5 to 6 foot range, I'll still pitch to them. Same thing. See, if that was a lighter jig, you're just waiting so long for that thing to touch the bottom and it's just not needed. So this time of year where that water's still warm in this transition period, you know, it's all still a reaction strike. You know, when the water gets cold, that's when I start thinking about that lighter, you know, 5/16 ounce jig. But pretty much tell yourself, I mean, there is no float too shallow. I mean, I've had some of them that are halfway up the bank, like this one, where there's this much gap. It's unbelievable the size fish that can live under there. So fun morning. Didn't get a lot of bites. We were only out here for a couple hours, but man, the transition in the fall, that's like I said earlier, that's kind of a dirty word to bass fishing, but it really doesn't have to be. The fall can be a fun time of year, no matter what conditions. It's beautiful. So go out and enjoy a great day on the water if you can get out. Don't let the sun affect how you feel about getting bites, especially up shallow. So if you keep an open mind, you cover a lot of water. Again, today we used a 6 cents, a plopping style bait. This is called the Scramble. Again, it's that finesse plopping bait. Man, I love this. I love just getting on that trolling motor, covering a tremendous amount of water. Again, this is the hybrid jig, skipping it around shallow boat docks, those floats. You can flip in the stalls as well. You've got fish at all different kind of ranges, but this is keying primarily on those fish that are, you know, 6, 7 foot or less. So, and really on the bank. But what I would have done today, if we would have had a little bit more clouds, a little bit more wind, more of a blustery day, is I would have broke out a couple of my favorite baits. And this is the 6 cent speed wake. And then this is the trace. Two of my absolute favorite baits this time of year, late summer into fall, even late fall. These are phenomenal baits, but a high gear ratio reel. And again, covering water, same types of places. These are gonna be big gizzard shad imitators, okay? Again, just cover water, get in those pockets. These bass can literally be everywhere. So, you know, Table Rock, these Clearwater lakes can be pattern lakes. Once you kind of start getting bit on one certain type of area, just start running that stuff throughout the day. But remember, speed is your friend. The more water that you cover, you know, typically guiding with customers that we do this, I can see the confidence level after 9 o'clock really dipping. And it's those guys that really lean in and commit to these fast moving baits that will reap the benefits of it. A lot of times, especially on these full moon days, your better bites are gonna come, you know, from 10 to say 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So stick with it. This is my arsenal. This is what I use to try to key in on the bigger bite during that transition time, and I know it's gonna help you. One more thing that we did not cover is something that you can do is I love going way up the rivers, backs of these creeks, and I love throwing a square bill. And again, this is a 6 cents Crush 50. My favorite square bill for covering water. Again, speed, think speed. You're not really trying to crawl this over anything, okay? You're gonna put that trolling motor on high, cover water, any kind of laydowns, rock, wood, and just remember, speed is your friend. This is another key bait that I really rely on when I'm shallow fishing in the fall time of the year. We are in the Ozarks. This is an Ozark staple, and this is one of my pride possessions. This is my custom wigglewort box. September, this really starts coming into play, especially towards the latter, mid to latter part of September into October. these smallmouth start to move shallow and keying in on crawfish, okay? Especially these cold mornings, cold nights. Man, they'll get up there shallow, especially on these bright days, and you can get right really quick early in the morning or if you have wind. So remember the old Ozarks staple, the old storm wigglewort. And again, you don't have to sit and drag something or fish super slow. Speed is your friend. Guys, I know that's gonna help you out. Go get all these things at my favorite store, Baitworks, Springfield, Missouri.